Okay, hi. Welcome
Hi.
to ITSAN's video podcast. Today we are with Jocelyn and Riker. Riker is an almost 9-year-old who has suffered with TSW most of his life. It took him approximately 2.5 to 3 years to get through the worst of it, but now he is a healed boy enjoying his life. So we are here to talk with him and his mom about his healing process and how he got here. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Sure. So my first question is just really tell us about how Riker's TSW started, the signs you saw, when he started using steroids, and for how long.
Okay, so Riker was given betamethasone injections in utero when I had preterm labor. And so I feel like he's had steroids since before he was even born. Within the first year, he started showing signs of eczema on his legs, and I took him to the doctor. And of course, their first right of medication or option for that is topical steroids. So they put him on topical steroids at around 1 year old. And then he continued to use them, progressively using them more and more as time went on. We did have a time that we went through topical steroid withdrawal and we didn't know we were going through topical steroid withdrawal. I had decided to try to get him off the topical steroids and to just treat him the best I could. I thought he was in a healing crisis, and he broke out with spots all over, and we started using topical steroids again because I didn't know that's what it was. About a year after that, I had asked in a Facebook group, just a healing natural Facebook group, if people could develop some sort of resistance to the topical steroids and need higher use for them, and somebody from these groups went ahead and said, yes, absolutely, it can develop, an addiction to them. And in fact, they're like, let me add you to these groups. This is what it's all about. And when I started reading in the groups, I instantly knew that's what we were dealing with. By that time, we had gone to visit a few allergists and dermatologists, and they had, given us big 1 pound topical steroid, and the instructions were to apply full body as needed. They gave us one for his face, apply as needed. I was definitely applying them, every day or every other day, almost full body after his baths, and didn't know what kind of monster I was creating in doing that. And so that's kind of where we were when we decided to quit using them. And I knew we were in for the long haul as far as going into withdrawal.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had reservations and you had kind of like this gut instinct while you were using them that something wasn't quite right.
Well, and especially when, we were applying them, and the first sign was he started getting red around his mouth. And we thought he was having a reaction to tomatoes, I think, and different things. And nothing was helping. And then we'd apply the face steroids, and it wasn't helping. It was getting worse and worse. And then he'd get the circles around his eyes. And so it was then that we knew we were dealing with something, and it just wasn't resolving at all.
Right. So you went to an allergist, you went back to your dermatologist, and what were you faced with at that point?
Just more topical steroids. I even said, I want to get him off the topical steroids. And they pretended to listen, I feel like. And then they just said, well, this is the only treatment we have for this, and we can give you a stronger steroid, which I said, okay. And I took the prescription and I went home and I said, I'm not feeling this because this is what's making him sick.
Yeah, I did the same thing too. Yeah, so then you're faced with, okay, now what? So then you realize that it could have been the topical steroid causing the problem. What did you do next?
So we started trying, we took him off of it cold turkey, and we tried to, to be honest with you, I researched everything. I spent way more money than I should have on all kinds of creams and, just ways to keep him comfortable, things to put in his bath. And we really just did the best we could to try to keep him comfortable. When he was at the oozy stage, I did whatever I could to keep infection at bay because I was really nervous for him to get an infection. Whenever he was at the dry stage, I tried to moisturize that so he was more comfortable. But one of the things we did is I did find, I was lucky enough to find our family practitioner, and I just talked to her about it, and she did tell me, I know that you're not being negligent, you're trying to do what you think is best. So just, I am willing to support you as long as you promise me that if you have any concerns, you will bring him in so that we can get him seen. Which, there was a time that I was just so thankful for that. He broke out in a very sudden rash. It didn't look like eczema herpeticum. It was white bumps that were popping up all over. They were painful. He was very uncomfortable. And we took him in, and he had strep A of the skin, which can turn very bad. And so
Yeah, wow.
we immediately put him on antibiotics. She swabbed his skin. And we were very fortunate to have that support. As far as anything other than that, I think I had told you before that as I was trying to fix Riker, I quickly figured out that one day I woke up and I was like, I just need to keep him comfortable.
Right.
And we just need to do whatever we can to keep him comfortable, to which Riker started leading his own healing journey and telling me what he needed. If he didn't want a bath, then he didn't take a bath. If he didn't want to go to school, even, I didn't make him go to school because they used hand sanitizers there, which bothered him. And, he was just so uncomfortable being in class. He just needed to be somewhere where he was comfortable. And then as far as what we tried a lot of diet and food restriction. And I just started telling him, what do you not want to have? What do you think is going to help you? To which, throughout his process, after I would say about the year mark is when we started just focusing on comfort over fixing. And Riker and I really learned that each flare was bringing him closer and closer to healing. And we both started to embrace it. Every time he'd go through a flare, we realized that this was a step toward his body learning, and his adrenals learning how to take care of its own skin, and that it was maybe the flares were a good thing and not a bad thing. And so we started embracing that. At one point, Riker, I think all kiddos in TSW couldn't sleep almost at all. And that was a big part of why he struggled at school. And, not only is TSW enough to make anybody struggle emotionally, but the lack of sleep wasn't helping. And so we own our own business, and his dad was working night shift at the time. And so he just stayed with his dad, stayed all night, stayed awake, and would sleep during the day. And we found that he could sleep really well during the day and stay up at night. And that really helped him to start getting better sleep. He would tell me, Mom, I'm sleeping like a baby. And that was a big factor in helping his skin. And then as far as his diet, he started leading his own, and we own a meat processing shop, and he would tell his dad, I want to try different organ meats, and which are very high in vitamins and healing. And he would for a few months, even, I think he would request to eat kidney or heart, different things like that. And it really helped his skin.
Wow, that's amazing. Riker, what do you remember about that time when you were telling your mom and your dad what made you feel comfortable and what you like to eat? What do you remember about that?
I remember before that I was gluten-free, but it wasn't gluten that I was allergic to.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pork, but I'm not allergic to it anymore.
Oh, wow, that's good. So you can pretty much eat what you want now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you knew what vitamins you needed. You're pretty smart.
I think it's just because heart's my favorite.
Great. That's awesome. So Riker, what would you say to someone, maybe someone your age or someone even not your age, who is going through what you went through? Maybe something that could help them.
It's pretty comfortable to be moisturized, or else it feels it's pretty hard to move.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty important. So just stay comfortable, right? Stay comfortable and eat what your body wants.
And you have to try not to scratch, because if you do, it will just get itchier.
Oh, scratching makes it feel itchier. Okay. All right. I'm sure somebody out there could find that to be really important and helpful. You're helping a lot of people. You're really brave too. So Jocelyn, I'm just so amazed by the fact that you were just so intuitive in the beginning, and then just letting your young son take the lead on, what his body needed. So he's really lucky to have you.
Well, thank
And
you.
a caregiver's job is really, really difficult. I've been there. So if you had to sum it up, what do you think some of the key tips for other caregivers would be?
I think as far as kiddos, that they really do know more than, there was a time that I wasn't so intuitive, and I, made him take a bath even though he would cry. And then, he started expressing to me how it was burning his skin, and I saw that it wasn't helping. It wasn't helping the problem. And so I think just trusting that they do know they do have their own intuition and know what they need, even if they're young, and letting them kind of take that lead. And then just, setting goal marks for yourself. At the beginning, I said, I'm going to do this for 3 months. And at 3 months, he was nowhere near healed, but we had already been in it for 3 months. And I had already in those 3 months read about a lot of other testimonies where it's taken years. And so I wasn't willing to go back on that 3 months of progress and have to start over again, or think about Riker going through it when he was 18 or 20 or 25 or 30, and how much harder it would have been with him on steroids that much longer. And so just giving yourself those benchmarks to say, we're going to get to 3 months, and then we're going to get to a year, and then we're going to get to a year and a half. That really helped us. It helped us a lot. And then I think just, keeping them as comfortable as possible, and focusing on that, once we got through our head that healing wasn't linear, and we just needed to kind of take the punches as they came and keep him as comfortable as possible. I think that was a huge change for us, because it was no longer frustrating of, I can't fix this. It was more like, we just need to be comfortable and get through this the best we can. And that really helped us to be able to take the challenge with a little bit more grace.
Right. I found it also really interesting that you learned to embrace the flares. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Figuring out that his body needed to relearn not only how to create its own oils and stuff, but for its adrenals to work, and just relearn how to take care of its own skin. And so I think that was it for us, is just that every flare was his body relearning how to do that and refiguring it out. And it was going to take a while, and we needed to know that, but each flare was going to help that.
Yeah. So how long has it been with clear skin now?
About a year, I think.
No, about a year and a half. It was in 2020. And it was about this time that he had his last big flare. And it was, he had looked fine. We had just cut your hair. And I thought, man, this haircut makes him look rough. But he was having a flare around his eyes and around his mouth. And that was the last big one that he had. And then he struggled with his neck for a little bit, but I would say right at about the 2-year mark, we really saw a big change.
Okay, wonderful. And now you don't have to think about it much anymore, think about TSW or eczema or put anything on his skin. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it was our whole life for
Right.
years. We constantly, we really did a great deal of tiptoeing around, you know, what made him the most comfortable if he didn't want to go outside. And now, to be honest, in the aftermath, we're working on, in a way, we really encouraged a sedentary lifestyle because he sweating and being outside, and we live on a farm, and stressful environments really created a lot of flare-ups for him. And so now we're kind of just relearning how to get out there and be more active and, you know, just be in those environments. But he does everything from going to the local fair where there's lots of animals and allergens, to going to swimming lessons, to he's back in school now, and no flares.
Wow. That is quite a happy ending. I'm so happy for you guys. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, Riker, congratulations on being a true TSW warrior. You made it.
Thank you.
I do want to add also, vitamin C was a big part of his healing journey, and he started requesting vitamin C. Again, by him leading, he would ask me for, you know, upwards of 5,000 milligrams a day throughout the day. And so high dose vitamin C really helped him. We noticed it helped with the itching, right? Is what you would tell me.
Yeah.
It would help with the itching. And so he, later on though, when I just did a simple Google search on vitamin C and gut health, it did come up with talking about different studies of vitamin C and how it's healing for the gut. And I found that very interesting because we took it just because it helped his itching. But later on, I figured out that there's a reason.
Right. There's a reason he needed to heal his gut.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really feel like it's going to help a lot of people in the TSW community. And we're just so happy for you.
Absolutely. We just hope that everybody out there sticks with it and knows that healing happens and it gets better, right?
All right. Thank you, Jocelyn and Riker. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.